Hello everybody, it is Fufu here, and I'm back for another why you should use for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon with my friend John. And this time it's a little bittersweet because it might be the last one of these we do, although we have plans in the pipeline for a follow-up series, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But first, we've got this video and also a very special one over on John's channel. So over here, we're going to be looking at one of the new Ultra Beasts, Naganadel, in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Very interesting Pokemon. We've got a lot to say about that, so stay tuned. But after this video, go over to John's channel. There is something special there, isn't there, John?
Yes, there is. Over on my channel, we're going to be going over Ultra Necrozma and why you should use it in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It is such a cool Pokemon, such an incredibly powerful thing. You definitely do not want to miss out on it, but only after you hear about why you should use Naganadel.
Design. First off, just a disclaimer, I'm not exactly 100% sure how you pronounce this Pokemon. I think it's Naganadel, but I'm not sure. So just a bit of a disclaimer. If you know how to pronounce it or have a better idea than I do, then please leave it in the comment section below. But in terms of the design, I think it's pretty interesting. We've already got a bee in Beedrill, but this is kind of more of a wasp. We've already got a kind of bad wasp in Vespiquen. You don't see it used so much, so let's have this one as an improvement. I think it looks really cool. It combines a hypodermic needle that nurses and doctors use with an oversized wasp, creating something of many people's nightmares, I'm sure. A lot of people freak out at needles, a lot of people freak out at wasps. Combining the two, pretty scary right there, and I do think it's a pretty neat design. Really clever for an Ultra Beast as well, because Ultra Beasts always go down that creepy line, and it's definitely a creepy Pokemon, so that's pretty neat.
Speaking of that, not only do I not like needles, I also hate wasps more than most things in the world, so this is kind of my worst nightmare in one Pokemon, and its dex entry says one kind of Ultra Beast, it fires a glowing venomous liquid from its needles. This liquid is also immensely adhesive, and that makes this thing even scarier. Not only is it firing out venomous liquid, but it seems like it could even trap its prey in one spot, and then the nightmare truly does begin.
Typing and stats. Naganadel is a poison dragon type Pokemon. Now we have seen this, but only once before in Dragalge, and I think it is really neat typing. Dragon has great general coverage, and then it obviously immunity is fairy, so that is not cool. You want to be able to hit those fairy types. That's where the poison typing comes in. You hit them super effectively, meaning that steel types are the only Pokemon that you struggle with in terms of your stabs. So hopefully this thing has coverage to hit them. But yeah, in terms of offensive typing, it's great, and we see that with Dragalge too. Dragalge is a very powerful Pokemon, so this thing has a lot of potential in the offensive department. In terms of defensively, it's pretty great. It's got 7 types that it resists, and some of those are quad resists, so that's fantastic. And it only has 3 weaknesses, so that's Psychic, Ground, and Dragon. So it's not too bad. That's a fair enough trade-off for 7 resistances. So that's pretty good, and this Pokemon is shaping up to be pretty exciting already.
When you move over to its stats are actually really straightforward. It has decent, defenses. It has 73. Actually, in every single stat that is not special attack or speed, none of these are above average, but none of these are terrible. If you do want to invest in a little bit of bulk, you can to take a few extra hits. It may get OHKO'd by a few really powerful super effective hits, but it does have a ton of resistances, and it definitely is not going to be a super frail Pokemon. The important thing is the 127 special attack and the 121 speed. This thing is going to be a very fast, especially offensive Pokemon, and also because of Beast Boost, which it obviously has. It is an Ultra Beast. We'll talk about that in a bit. There's some pretty cool things you can do regarding speed and special attack, but a very cool thing that Sam did notice, so actually 2 things. First, it has 540 for its base stat total instead of 570 like the rest of the Ultra Beast. Not exactly sure why that is. It is also the only Ultra Beast where, it does have a pre-evolution, so it's a little bit unique. I don't know, maybe we'll see something with this in the future. And the other thing is that its speed is 121, and that's the only stat any Ultra Beast has that is not a prime number. It is divisible by 11. That's really interesting. Very cool to know. It's just kind of like a little side secret thing, but, something to look at and just, think about, be puzzled, and it's kind of cool.
Ability. Naganadel is an Ultra Beast, or supposedly, although those stat things are a bit weird, but it's an Ultra Beast, it's from a different dimension, and it has that Beast Boost ability. We like this ability, it gives you a boost in a stat when you KO a Pokemon, and especially for the offensive ones, the offensive Ultra Beasts, it works really nicely because you can get boosts in your attacking stats. With this Pokemon, you can get either special attack or speed boosts. Obviously, those are your highest stats, which you are probably going to be investing in pretty much all the time anyway. So that's really neat. And all you need to do is change your nature from timid to modest, depending on whether you want to get a speed or a special attack boost, respectively. So it's really easy to tailor your beast boosts on this Pokemon, and you'll be getting some really useful ones. It's a very good ability for this offensive Pokemon, and I think you can have a lot of fun with it. Moves.
Going on to its moves, it actually has a really solid move pool for what this Pokemon wants to do. Obviously, it does have Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave, which is going to be really awesome special stab for this poison Pokemon, and it also has very great special Dragon Stab with Dragon Pulse and Draco Meteor, so it has everything you would want it to have in a stab standpoint, and it also has Fire Blast, which is amazing considering that you really only are worried about steel types when you are, dealing with psychic, or not psychic, but poison and dragon coverage rather, and that's going to be really, really solid. The next move we're going to talk about is Nasty Plot, and already we have 4 moves together that make a fantastic moveset if you really want to use them. Nasty Plot to boost the special attack, and then 2 stab moves along with the coverage option you want to hit steel types. That is very, very cool. It also does have U-Turn, which I really, really love. I'm a big fan of U-Turn. This is a Pokemon that can really utilize it with a really, really good speed stat, and you can definitely throw that onto any sort of choice set. I'm very, very happy about that. It doesn't have the best attack stat, but it has enough attack that it will still do something with U-Turn. Tailwind's actually pretty interesting with this Pokemon, especially when it comes to VGC, but in general, I mean, if you use a Tailwind, your opponent is not expecting it, nothing is going to outspeed this Pokemon. You could definitely get a cheeky little, sweep at the end of the game, clean up the rest of their team, and that is very cool. And the one thing we are a little bit disappointed about is that it doesn't have Roost. Now, it has pretty much everything it could possibly need for moves. Roost would be pretty cool. It would give us a few more options with this Pokemon, but at the end of the day, this thing is definitely going to be very, very deadly.
Set ideas. So Naganadel, we've seen it has pretty self-explanatory stats, and its move pool is good but not wide, so you probably are already having guesses as to what its sets might be. The first one we're going to look at is a Nasty Plot Sweeper. This thing is pretty powerful when it gets up a Nasty Plot. So the item I've given it is Dragonium Z, and we're going to go with the ability Beast Boost. We're giving it a timid nature so that it can get speed boosts when it starts KOing Pokemon. As I say, this is a Nasty Plot set, so you're able to boost your special attack to very high levels, and then when you start getting the KOs, you can boost your speed too, so it works quite nicely in that respect. The moves are going to be Sludge Wave, slightly more powerful than Sludge Bomb, and you want to get the KOs with your damage, not with the poison after effect. So Sludge Wave is probably the better option here over Sludge Bomb. Then it's going to be Draco Meteor. This thing is very powerful, and it's really useful because you can weaken opponents before you set up early in a match. So you can drop some Dracos, switch out, and then later in the match, when you're ready to sweep, you can go for that Nasty Plot and start KOing and sweeping the rest of your opponent's team. The last move is going to be Fire Blaster, as we mentioned before. This is great for covering for those steel types so that you can really hit them hard. So after one Nasty Plot, you're going to be KOing so much and doing great damage. And where the Dragonium Z really works nicely is you've got a powerful Dragon type Nuke, which you can use after a Nasty Plot to take out what could potentially be a check to you with just one extremely powerful move. And what's nice with that with Draco Meteor is Draco Meteor normally drops your special attack, but because this is a Z move, you won't be dropping your special attack, so you can get that powerful Dragon type move off and then continue your sweep. So that's really neat, and that's why this set works really well. It's probably the set you'll see most often, apart from maybe the one that John's about to talk about, so I'll leave him to explain that one to you.
This next set is something I am incredibly excited about. I love playing in the Draft League format. This Pokemon is going to be an absolute nightmare in pretty much any format. but especially in this one, you can really mess around with the natures, with the items, and make this thing very, very deadly. So the item is going to either be choice specs or choice scarf, and it's really going to be up to you, and the nature actually goes with the item. If you're going to be timid, you're going to go with choice specs, and you will be getting a plus speed boost every time you get a KO with beast boost, and that is going to be fantastic. Your special attack is already going to be incredibly powerful, and you can get to a point where you are so powerful and so quick that you just completely blow through a team. But with scarf, you're going to have a modest nature, and in a different way, you're already going to have a ton of speed. Every time you get a KO, you're going to be picking off different Pokemon. Your special attacks are going to get stronger and stronger, and you're just going to do so much damage to the other Pokemon. So the EVs are going to be 4 defense, you know, it could just be 4 HP. It's whatever you really want at that point. You know, that's not really super important. 252 special attack, 252 speed, and then obviously nature, as we said, you decide on your own. And the moves are going to be Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse. If you're going to be scarfed, you might want to put Dragon Pulse instead of Draco if you are trying to get the boosts. But if you are just trying to go for a nice nuke, and then you actually would get a little bit special attack back, and if, you know, depending on the rest of the Pokemon left, you could still pick them off with a slightly weaker special attack, but still not as bad as a regular Draco Meteor. So that's going to be great for the Dragon Stab. Sludge Wave is going to be on either set. Fire Blast is going to be on either set, and then U-Turn is a fantastic move as well. You can go for U-Turn early in the game, gain some initiative, you know, maybe lull him into a false sense of security, and then later on, smack him with a Draco Meteor or just try to clean up with a Sludge Wave. This is going to be such a good Pokemon. You can use it in a variety of different situations. With this set, it's really up to you what item you want to use, and it's going to be so scary regardless.
You could also try a substitute set, which can be nice to catch the opponent off guard if you're worried about them switching into a fairy and you don't know which move to go for. Substitute can help you decide that. And also the Life Orb item can be useful so you can switch up moves after getting some special attack boosts to really punish your opponent. But other than that, I think the 2 sets that we discussed are really the most likely that you're going to see. The one downside of this Pokemon is it's going to be quite predictable. It's got those 3 offensive moves, Dragon type move, Poison type move, Fire Blast or Flamethrower. They're basically, you're going to see on every set. And so your opponent can kind of play around that if they want to. But it is efficient at what it does, though it may not have the widest move pool, or just the options that it has are really good and you'll see it a lot. It's going to be efficient even if it's predictable, so I think it's a really cool Pokemon to try out and it can be a boon to any team. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please go over to John's channel now to check out an awesome video on Ultra Necrozma. This thing has so much potential. We go through some really interesting set ideas there. There are some awesome mechanics to try out, so please go and watch that video. But that is all for today. I've been Fufu, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.